Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the podcast. Today we have entrepreneur Scott Parker. He owns over 25 businesses in the DMV area and is a business mogul, a JMU alumni, a friend, and a new father with a mission to remove alcohol from people's life so they can get back in track and live a more fulfilling life. Scott Parker, welcome to the podcast.
Good to be here, man. Thank you.
Yeah. So, how did it all start? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. So I went to JMU, as you said, graduated from there in '05, coming up on 20 years, I guess, this May. And I went back to New Jersey where I was from, but it was a small town. So, not a lot of jobs. And my dad was like, man, you should move to a city. And a lot of my friends were living in Arlington and DC metro area. And so I decided to give that a try. And I came here in 2006. And I started working 9-to-5 jobs like everybody else. And I just really didn't love it. And so I decided I wanted to be a bar owner. And I sort of worked through my 20s and saved the money to open my first bar, which opened when I was 30. So that's coming up on 13 years ago. And since then, I've just been opening different small business brands with my friends, my family, various, entrepreneurs around the area.
Sure, very cool. And what type of businesses do you have currently?
Yeah, sure. So currently, when it comes to brick and mortar stuff, I'm a partner in 26 different store locations. So we're in the pet care space. We have a dog daycare company that has a bunch of locations around here and is also franchising nationally. So we opened in Charleston, South Carolina. We opened in Houston. We're getting ready to open near Austin, Texas, Phoenix, northern New Jersey, Kansas City, a bunch of different places around the country. So I'm busy in pet care. We also have a high-end cat hotel that opened about a year and a few months ago that's doing really well out in Herndon, Virginia. Wow. Then I do barber shops. So we've got 4 locations of our barber brand, which is called Bearded Goat Barber. Yeah. There's one in Washington, D.C., 2 in Arlington, Virginia, and 1 in Gaithersburg, Maryland. We have Bash Boxing, which is a fitness concept. We're in Fairfax and Mosaic, and then we're also in a couple locations in Arlington. And then, of course, in what I started in, which is restaurants and bars, I'm still a partner in 6 of those. So really a bunch of different small business stuff, a bunch of brick and mortar companies I've started with various friends, some family, and some just people I met along the way.
Yeah, very cool. Mm-hmm. So you started with A-Town?
That's correct. A-Town was my first place. It was a sort of a wild party bar, A-Town Bar and Grill it was called. Opened in 2012. We shut it down at the end of 2018 to turn it into what is now Bronson Beer Hall. But yeah, and A-Town was my first ever project, first thing I ever did.
I was asking you earlier, I asked you which one was your favorite of the businesses, and I guess it's technically still A-Town, but rebranded.
Yeah. I think Bronson is probably my favorite right now. It's such a consistent business. It's easy. It's all picnic tables inside its German beer hall. It's always busy 7 days a week. We never have trouble or drama or problems. And yeah, that was the same corner, same location where A-Town was. So, now we've been in the same place for 13 years. It feels, crazy to say that, almost 13 years, maybe 12 and a half right now. But it feels crazy to say that. And that location's been really good to us. We had a great run with A-Town. Now we're having arguably an even better run with Bronson.
Yeah.
And it just feels amazing to just be, doing well in that same location for all those years.
Yeah, it's nice to hear that because I think last time I saw you, you weren't even a father yet, and you invited me and we spoke at Bronson.
Yep.
You were actually doing another interview. I came and watched. I was like, man, this guy's JMU alumni. I ended up winning the raffle. Then I was like, man, I really like this guy. I'm getting lucky too. Yeah. Let's have a conversation with this dude.
Sure.
So you started from A-Town. Now you're a father, and you have a new mission, right? Mm-hmm. And you want to help people remove alcohol from their lives? Yeah,
that's right. So I stopped drinking in, what month was it? May of 2010. So I'm coming up on 15 years sober myself. Wow. So it's been sort of a weird, dichotomy. On one hand, I own bars and restaurants. On the other hand, I do work with a lot of people to quit drinking. And I was doing that for a lot of years before I started to spin it up as sort of a coaching program, which I now run called Locked Back In. So I got a handful of guys I'm already working with, to help them stay off alcohol, quit alcohol, and remove it from their lives. and just really lead more productive, more happy lives. And so it's been a great start so far, and excited to see where that goes as well too. It's sort of my first business, if you will, that's not brick and mortar based and sort of an online service. A lot of my clients are guys I just talk to through Zoom. One or two of them I see them in person, but a lot of them I just talk to through Zoom and on the phone and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, I definitely admire you because, brick and mortar is a very complex business.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things that you have to manage, from employees to location. I remember I spoke to you last time just asking questions, trying to learn, because you went to JMU, you're older than me, you have experience that I don't have.
Sure.
I remember I asked you, what's your overhead per month? And you said a ridiculous number.
Yeah. I think just on rent alone, it's probably still around, a $250,000 a month just on rent. Because if you look at something small, like let's say, one of the barber shops, they cost, $7,000 or $8,000 a month in rent. You look at something big like Bronson Beer Hall, it's probably over $30,000 a month in rent. So the costs are up there. And people always ask me, why don't you buy the spaces and then you don't have to pay rent? You can own it. That sounds nice in theory, but we tend to open in and invest in downtown city locations that are either not for sale because it's part of a larger building, or would just be insanely expensive to buy the real estate. And we're not, really real estate guys. We're more of small business guys, and so we always just rent the spaces. So yeah, so we're up there now in what we're spending on rent, that's for sure. And then overhead costs, that's not even factoring in staff costs and utilities and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, the cost to run these businesses is definitely way up there. I mean, I think if you add in staff costs and everything else, we're probably somewhere north of, $1 million a month in what we spend on staff and rent and utilities and all the other odds and ends and bills that we pay each month.
Yeah, very cool. So when you say you said you started with a few partners at A-Town, but you have 25 plus businesses, so unique partners, or how?
Yeah, so that's one of the challenges with what I do is I have almost different partners, or I do for the most part in everything that I do. I start off with a couple guys that are great, a father-son combo, Mike and Nick, and they own a ton of restaurants, and I still own a few with them. We have 3 restaurants together. And then I got into other things with other people, like the pet care brand I'm in with my brother and his wife.
Cool.
Bearded Goat Barber, I'm in with a couple guys who I knew who were just really good barbers and wanted to open a barber shop, so I partnered with them. And just sort of along the way, I've met people who want to get into the business game, and maybe they're experts at what they do, but they don't really know how to spin up, a full business. So like the barber shops as an example, John and Eric, my partners, had been cutting hair for 20 years combined. I think one of them 15 years, one of them 5 years. We decided to partner together, and I can do all the stuff that I do, which is, the marketing and deal with the build out and the design and structure the business. They can really focus on the customer experience and, putting out great haircuts and managing barbers and all that kind of stuff. We built a great team, and the company's really doing great. And so it's all about just finding the right people to partner with for me. I've never owned 100% of a business. I've always had partners.
Yeah.
And so that's just really been big for me.
So a lot of people, sometimes they're hesitant to go to partnerships. What has made all your partnerships successful?
Yeah, I've had one or two that sort of, went a little sour, if you will, but the great majority of my partnerships are still intact and doing great. I think I've just been lucky with the people that I've chosen. When I try to partner with someone or look to consider partnering with someone, I'm really just thinking through, are they an expert? Really 3 things: are they an expert in this business? Will they work really hard at it? And are they a good person? Are they someone I can get along with? And if it checks all 3 of those boxes, I'll probably give it a shot and see if I can work with that person. And I think just transparency and being really open with people and being willing to talk about anything and staying in constant communication has just made those partnerships successful. I think there's certainly been disagreements along the way, but I don't think there's been too many situations where somebody has been, toxic or really unhappy with each other or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, there can't be harmony without some conflict. That's healthy as well.
For sure. Yeah, the disagreements are good. Sometimes that passion is good. Even if you don't agree, it gets you to a better solution.
Yeah, so your new mission, which is it's a whole different, you bring the infrastructure and the marketing and the branding and the strategy, and you seem to really be a people's person as well. I mean, I have to say that every time I speak to you, it's a pleasant encounter. When I asked you to come podcast, you were you were gracious enough to come.
Sure.
And I was excited to interview you because I feel like you're a story where you're a business mogul in this area, but now you want to spread your message kind of everywhere. And that's kind of what you've done with your businesses too.
Yeah.
You've ventured out from being just Arlington, and now you're kind of all over the U.S.
Yeah. We're trying to get out there and get all over the country, and that definitely is the goal. I think from the beginning, I've been sort of a shameless self-promoter. Definitely from the beginning, right from day one, August of 2012, I was posting on social media, telling people come to my restaurants, come to my bars, really promoting my own brands. I think, sometimes people get a bad name for that, or some people don't like that kind of thing. But for me, it's free marketing, and it's just a way to show, hey, I believe in what I'm doing. I'm passionate about what I'm doing, which really resonates with a lot of people. And I think we live in the social media era. If you have that tool and you can put the word out about what you're doing, then it can be great, and it can be really helpful in just expanding your reach and expanding your message. So that's something we've been doing from the beginning. And to your point, yeah, we do feel like we've been here for a long time, and we've been relatively successful here. A lot of ups, a lot of downs. We have the 26 stores, I think, in total, but we've had a lot of stores open and close, or some open and do well for a few years and then kind of just fade off. So I think in what we do in our game, we're trying so many different things, and we're opening in so many different locations, there's going to be success and there's going to be failures along the way. But we are now at a point where we're hopefully trying to expand some of these brands. Playful Pack, our dog daycare brand.
How many do you have of those?
Yeah, so there's 10 corporate stores that, when I say corporate, I mean that we own, and then there's 2 franchise locations currently open, one in Charleston, South Carolina, one in Houston, Texas, and there's another dozen or so that are signed for, that are on the way in cities around the country.
So what does it take to franchise one of these?
Yeah, sure. So Playful Pack, your investment's probably going to be give or take, $400,000, $500,000 to open a Playful Pack. We're going to look for someone that is definitely passionate about dogs and improving people's lives by taking great care of their dogs. Wow. Really someone that's going to put their heart into it. They don't necessarily need to work in the business every day. They can be more of an absentee owner and hire managers to run the business, but they still got to be focused. They got to be in it mentally. They got to be excited about it, and they got to be a person that we could see ourselves building a relationship with for years to come, type thing.
Yeah. So what are the logistics that go into deciding if this business is going to be profitable and how long it takes?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think something I probably could have done better at over the years is really crunch numbers and really have more of an understanding for, when are we going to hit a break even? When are we going to return our full investment? As opposed to just, I feel good about this. I feel it's going to work. Like, when we were opening Bearded Goat Barber, I just really felt like, there weren't that many really good high-end barbers in the city of Arlington. And we had a really good team, and I felt like there was a lot of guys in their 20s, 30s, and 40s that were making money that would spend, a lot of money on a haircut, pay $50 for a haircut. And we kind of went with our gut, and that's what I've done a lot of the time, as opposed to really break the numbers down, too much and be really sure. And maybe I've been lucky. It's worked out for a long time for me. And now, as I get a little bit older and start to analyze things a little bit more, I am in a place where I try to really crunch the numbers a little bit more, understand the costs, understand the profit and loss statements and that kind of stuff. But that's something that came in time. In the beginning, it was all just on my gut. Like, I feel like I could open a successful bar here. Let's go for it. It works. I think we can do another one. Let's go for it. It works. And really just looking at the market, see what places are busy, what people are responding to. When we went into dog daycare, we checked out a lot of dog daycares, and we just noticed that all of them were either pretty busy or had been there for a lot of years. Dog daycares that have been there 10 years, 12 years, 15 years. And so we're like, if these places can survive that long, there must be a market for this. Maybe we can survive as well too. And that's kind of what we went for. But we really went with our gut a lot of the time, when we probably should have taken a lot more time to really crunch the numbers and that kind of stuff.
Well, what I've seen is the best businessmen, and I'm someone who's very data driven, but you have to go with your instinct and your gut.
Yeah.
Because that's half of what gets you going every morning.
For sure.
Yeah. So, for the younger generation looking, they might think everything is amazing. You have 25 plus businesses. As a business owner myself, I know that it's stressful to run even one business
Yeah.
and even have one employee.
Yeah.
How do you manage all of this? You must have a huge stress tolerance.
Yeah. To be honest, I think that's fair. I'm never really stressed anymore. Maybe if something goes really bad, I might feel it a little bit, or if there's something I really want to get done, I just can't figure out. I might feel it a little bit. But day to day, I never really get that stressed. And as you mentioned, like, we've got a lot of problems in our businesses. I think all businesses have problems. There's always issues in them. And I think from the outside, it looks like Scott's got 26 brick and mortar small businesses. He's killing it. He's making millions. The truth is, we have a lot of bills too. We have investors to pay back. We have bank loans. We have high cost of doing business. So a lot of our stores, we don't have too many stores necessarily losing money right now, but we have a bunch of stores that just break even, right?
Yeah.
And so I think on the surface, people probably think that guy's making $5 million a year. The truth is, I'm making nowhere near that, because a lot of these companies are in growth mode. They have investors to pay back. It's expensive to grow. If you want to grow a company, you're constantly investing instead of taking the money and putting it back in your own pocket, right? Yeah. And then there are other situations where we do have very strong cash flowing businesses that are not in growth mode, that are just one-off locations. Like I mentioned, Bronson, it's a really profitable business that we can all just take money from and have that money to live off of and stuff. But there's a lot of challenges and a lot of problems underneath the surface. There's a lot of days where I think that Playful Pack, for example, is going to one day have 100 stores and have this massive exit and kill it. There's other days where it's really struggling, and I think, like, man, I wonder if we'll ever even get to 25 stores, right? Yeah. And so I think on the surface, people that don't know or have never owned a business before, they walk into a busy restaurant and they see a busy restaurant and they think, like, wow, these people are killing it. They're making millions of dollars a year, and they don't know the truth is it's the hardest time in history to be in restaurants, because staff costs are so high and inflation has made food costs so high, and there are a lot of busy restaurants that are losing money or barely making money, right? Yeah. And so I think I think my stress tolerance is really high, and I think over time it's gotten that way because I've just realized that even when I do fail and things fail, there's going to be another day, there's going to be another opportunity, and it's not worth really stressing over.
Yeah, I was actually I made a video about this. Brick and mortar versus a remote job, and a lot of people, they talk about revenue, and they get excited, like, hey, I generated over $1 million. We know that if you're generating revenue-wise less than $3 million a year, you're considered a small business. Mm-hmm. If you have more than 2 or 3 employees and you're working on 10, 20% margins, it's very hard to survive. Yeah. It's very stressful. Yeah. And you have people's livelihoods you have to take care of.
Yeah. Yeah.
But one thing that's beautiful is you have this franchise model. You have a system that's already worked. Yeah. You have good partners. Mm-hmm. And like you said, I believe all of these businesses you can exit if you'd like to. Yeah,
I think that's all true what you said. And I think for us, like as you mentioned, it's really comes down to partners and managers. Like, first off, we have partners that we can rely on that are doing different things in the business. And then after that, it's managers. I really look at all of our stores, our 26 stores, as it comes down to one person. So it's either the general manager of that restaurant, the manager of the pet care facility, the manager or the operating partner of the barbershop, the manager of the fitness location. That manager is going to be responsible for the success of the store. And I always am telling people, if you've got 50 great managers, you can have 50 stores. If you've got 2 great managers, you can have 2 stores, because it's really going to come down to making sure you have that one person, that point of contact that you can stay in touch with. And that's really all we do these days. It used to be when I first had one bar, I knew everybody that worked there and about their personal lives and had a relationship with them. And we just can't do that anymore as much as I would like to. And sometimes I feel bad about that. But we now have, a manager in place who I know I can have a good relationship with that manager. I know them well. If I need anything to change at the restaurant or the small business, I talk to that person and we change it and we fix it. But really it comes down to those, 26 people, with one person being in charge of every one of those stores.
Yeah, no, there's these use cases I like to bring up. One is the billionaire that has 300 employees, and one is the guy who makes $10 million a year and has 1 report.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Who lives the happier, easier life.
Sure, exactly.
But everybody's different, you
Yep.
know? Not everybody can wake up and open up 25 businesses and wake up the next day and be like, I'm okay.
Yeah.
You know, they're like, I have to take care of everybody.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
everybody's relying on me. And if I fail, then what?
Yep, yep.
You know? So that's amazing. Congrats to you to having all those businesses.
Thanks.
Now you're also in like a new chapter of your life. You just became a father, and I think you said your son is 10 months old?
Yeah, he'll be 10 months old on the second. You know, in a week or so, he'll be 10 months old. So he's getting close to that 1 year birthday, and yeah, it's been amazing. You know, he's a happy guy. He loves daycare. He loves hanging out at home, and it's been an incredible experience, as you know. I can't believe how fast time has flown by. You know, me and my girlfriend, we were saying the other day, you know, remember when he was a tiny little baby, and even though it was like it's only been 10 months, like we barely can even remember that because he's so big now, that it just feels like he's always been big, and it's just been, you know, the most incredible journey, like everything else. So it's about figuring out time now. You know, obviously, as you know, it's incredibly time demanding, and time consuming. And so it's like, you know, I got to make sure I don't work too much or work too hard. I got to be there for him first and be there for him in the morning and stuff like that. And it's just been, you know, another learning experience along the way.
Yeah, I love the morning selfie videos. Yep. Those are my favorite. You
awesome.
know? Like as a dad, those are the things that, you know, I look at Scott, I'm like, oh, I relate to him. You know, before it was like, oh, we went to JMU together. Now I'm like, oh, man, this guy's killing it. He's got this place, he's got this place, he's got this place, and he's a nice, humble guy.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah.
So I always say that people that are successful, and success means different things to everybody, but I think it's someone who's comfortable who they are, know what they want in life, and you know, start going in the path they want where they see their story going.
Yeah.
You know, and I think you came to that recently where you're like, I'm going to share my message. With the most successful people I know, everybody has a point where they completely fail. And they feel like they've hit rock bottom. Do you think you've ever gone through that?
You know, I would say yes in certain businesses, maybe not overall, meaning from when I started in business 13 years ago, I've never gotten to a point where I lost everything and went completely broke, which I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs do, and some of the most successful entrepreneurs do, and have heard those stories. I think where we've definitely failed very drastically is businesses that we thought were going to be super successful that just absolutely flopped. So we've had bars where we open a bar in a location and we're like, this is a great concept, it's a good location, we're gonna kill it, and then we failed within a year, and that really is hard to accept. You know, it's hard to accept from the failure on our own end. We've lost our own money, we've lost investors' money who believed in us, and that really, you know, is hurtful and is tough to get over. But I think that I've been lucky along the way, because I think throughout the 13 years that I've been an entrepreneur, I've always had, you know, in my portfolio probably 4 or 5 really successful businesses at any one time that are paying all my bills and providing me more than enough income to live. And that when the disasters have happened and the failures have happened, it hasn't been something that's bankrupted me or made me, you know, go fully broke or just maybe lose everything type thing. You know, there's been some close calls. There's been times where I've gone from having a bunch of money in the bank to having very little because I'm paying off stuff that did fail. And I think I'm learning along the way. And I think, you know, as you say, it's everyone's vision of success. So I would say, you know, my vision of success in the past 12 or 13 years, a lot of it has been learning, and I want to be able to live by my own schedule, own my own businesses, and learn along the way. And I've learned, you know, a lot of hard lessons about where I want to go with, you know, the future of my career based on some of those failures. But I think my version of success has been fulfilled, which has been, I pretty much can do what I want. I pretty much can, you know, live my life on my own terms. Now, you know, certain people, if their vision of success was, you know, I want to have 5 mansions and be able to fly on a private jet, you know, 5 days a week, then they're gonna spend a lot of years and need to make millions and millions of dollars to attain that, right? But for me, I live a low-key life. I'm not that concerned with luxury or high-end things, and so just being able to live life on my own terms is kind of the success that I'm looking for.
And that's the difference between being rich and being wealthy.
Yeah.
The fact that you're comfortable with what you have, you appreciate what you have, and you're grateful for what you have. I'm sure you could be loud about it. You could go buy the nice things if you wanted, but you keep reinvesting into your business, you keep reinvesting into people, into your family, and now, I feel like as a man, it's all about doing things that make you proud.
Yep.
And if you stop doing things for, hey, you can like the things you do, like have a passion.
Yeah.
But if you start thinking like, am I proud that I did this?
Yeah.
I feel like the decisions you make in life are a lot easier.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. And for whatever reason, I don't know if it's because, I started off, my 20s being really broke, or, when I was trying to figure it out and make it. For me, as weird as it sounds, the less money I spend, the happier I am. And it's not for a reason of trying to save money and save as much money as I can, right? It's just, I honestly feel better living a more humble life. I don't get a thrill out of buying expensive things. In a way, it makes me feel a lot worse than it would if I just, lived a more low-key life and spent less. And, I think those things feel like a drain on us. I saw an interview with Elon Musk years ago, and he said he sold all of his houses because he just felt like they were a weight on him. It was something to think about. It was something dragging him down. And I could see that. I've never liked expensive cars. I've never wanted to buy a yacht or a mansion or anything like that. I like just living a low-key life. And so I think, it's all about what you're in it for and what's going to make you happy. And I think for me, it's been the creation and the creativity. Let me try this thing and see if I can make it work. And that really is the fulfillment. I keep using Beard to Go Barber as an example because my two partners were barbers and, making a certain amount of money. And now you fast forward 5 years later, they're doing much better financially in their lives because of the success that we've had. And that's a great feeling for me too, that they've been able to level up. And more so than anything, that we had this idea and we created this brand, and it really, really worked, and it resonated with people, and people loved it. That means something to us. And it's never going to be $1 billion brand, right? It's never going to be some massive exit that is going to make us rich for eternity. But it's a great brand, and it's a great product, and it's the best that it can be. It's very well executed, and that feels good to try to do something and do it well. That's really what's most important to us.
Yeah, well, honestly, with the amount of businesses you have, the day you decide to exit all of those, make sure to call me.
Yeah, no problem.
So now with your mission to help people remove alcohol from their lives, tell us how you made that decision and how people can get in touch with you and if they want to go down the similar path.
Yeah, sure. So, I guess along the way, I was helping a lot of people get sober. That was almost after 1 or 2 years of being sober, and it's been 15 now. And so it's something I've been doing for a long time already. I've helped a bunch of guys get sober over the years. I don't know how many, maybe 15, 20, maybe a little more. And I've helped them to varying degrees. Some of them I had, maybe 1 or 2 conversations with. Others I talked to all the time, for 6 months, a year, however long it took until they were good on their own. And like I said, some I just talked to once or twice. But I guess I started to learn a lot about online coaching and online coaching as a career platform. And I started to realize, this is something I could do professionally. And so that's what I do. And I work with guys for 6 months now. I charge $6,000 for that. And basically my pitch and that is we're going to help get you through those 6 months without drinking and being sober. And then we'll see where you are, sort of from there. It's been great. If people want to reach out to me, Instagram is one of the best ways to reach me. It's just my name, @ScottParker. They can hit me on email anytime, scott.parker08@gmail.com. And my website is scottparkerbrands.com. You can reach out to me through that as well too, and has all my info. It's been a really amazing journey. It's been really fun. I'm only probably about 5 or 6 months into it and only working with a handful of guys so far. But the guys I'm working with are getting incredible results out of it. Most of the guys have been sober the whole time. I have a couple guys that have maybe slipped up once, maybe twice in there, but now are healthy. And at this point in time, happy to say everyone's healthy and off of it. And it's life-changing. I mean, when you do something like that, you can change someone's life. And I think there's also going to be opportunities with it down the road. Like one of the guys owns a really cool business, and he actually may partner up with my brother on growing his business. My brother was looking for new opportunities, and this guy was looking for a partner, and we kind of sync them up that way. And so I think a lot of cool stuff will come out of it, but the most important thing is that these guys can change their life and be happy and be healthy. And so far, it's been really going great that way.
That's very cool. Mm-hmm. Very cool. So the economy right now, to switch the topic a little,
Yeah.
is maybe not the best.
Yeah.
A lot of people are losing jobs, and a lot of people feel like they need to, like you said, bearded goat. They were in a situation, now they're in a much better situation, right? And I feel like in this day and age, you see all these supercars and, oh, I'm making a lot of money, but it's all content and hype,
Yep.
and it's not necessarily realistic.
Yep.
You know, now that you're 42,
Yep.
you've had all these businesses. What's your advice to the younger generation that are in their 20s, in their 30s? Maybe they lost their job. Maybe they're unemployed.
Yeah.
And they want to start a business. How do you recommend they get started?
Yeah, I think to the point that you just made, be in it for the right reasons. I think Instagram is giving us this idea that a lot of things are going to make us happy that are not that happy. And if you look at the studies, people who, when we buy things as people, whether it's a car, it's a house, it's something, we have a tendency to get used to everything that we have. And so we buy that house and we think it's the coolest thing ever. And then 6 months down the road, it's just where we live and it's not exciting us anymore. So I think be in it for the right reasons. I think if you want to start a business these days, there's so many tools out there to learn how to do it. Even I myself in the past year or two, I've been spending a lot of time just on YouTube, watching videos about different industries, learning about different strategies for starting businesses and different businesses to start. I think that's a great place to do it. It's just watching YouTube videos. If you think, hey, I'd really love to own this business or start this business, start watching videos on it, see other people that have done it and learn what it takes. And then just, I think, be in it for the right reasons and be prepared to be in it for the long haul. I think, we have a tendency to think these days, especially young people, that, hey, if I start this business and work super hard at it for 6 months, I'll do really well, right?
Yeah.
It might take more like 6 or 12 or 18 years to be really successful. And you might fully fail, and you got to be prepared for that too. There are instances where you might either get lucky or maybe you're just smarter than, 99.9% of people and you have the best idea ever and you're just a really talented person that maybe in 6 months you will find insane success and you'll absolutely crush it, right? Yeah. But, I think those situations are few and far between. I think what's more likely is you're going to go through a lot of hard times. You're going to almost fail a bunch of times, or maybe you will fail a bunch of times and then finally you're going to find that success and kind of grow that way. So I think that's what's more likely for most people. And, you just got to get out there and give it your all and just prepare for a long, hard road. Don't prepare to, that what you see on social media. Don't prepare that, you're going to try hard for 3 months and you're going to get that Lamborghini. Prepare that it might take you, 10 years. It might take you 20 years. You may never find the success that you want to. So really finding beauty in the struggle, as they say, and finding your definition of success and happiness, and making sure like, hey, I'm going to start this business and I hope it makes, $3 million a year. But if it only makes, $100,000 a year, can I be happy with that? If it makes $200,000 a year, can I be happy with that and live off of that? What's most important to me? Is it having that autonomy and being a business owner and being my own boss? Or am I just out for the money and am I only going to be happy when I make, sort of X amount of dollars? So I think that's, just really important to think about and people should really be prepared for a long ride with this thing.
Yeah, I think that's really important for people to note because I've tried brick and mortar before, and when my overhead went high, I didn't really like it.
Yeah.
It was stressing me out.
Oh, yeah.
And managing from security to the location to the employees, it was tough for me, honestly, because I graduated JMU 2016. I was in the tech world. I was remote. And I became a father at 26. So then I was like, now in my head, I was like, I need to make more and spend more.
Yeah.
That was the first thing I thought. And then I made more in a week than I did the whole month working my IT job. Mm-hmm. So then I started to chase the money.
Yeah.
And that was the biggest mistake I made. I was chasing the money instead of allowing it to come to me.
Yep. Yep.
So I talk about this concept about chasing and attracting money. What are your thoughts on that? Chasing the money and letting it come to you?
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I can think of my own life where there was a time a little over a year ago where I had a bunch of stuff fail. maybe too many things failed in a row at once. And I'm like, I'm trying this, I'm trying that, just trying to open things to make money. Then I started to figure out, well, what am I going to do next? And I got really interested in business acquisitions, and I just started learning about it. I didn't do too much. I just started learning about it, right? Spent a lot of time, like I said, on YouTube and learn about buying small businesses and acquiring stuff. And right at that point in time, a guy came to see me who I got connected to from a friend who now is going to be my business partner in the business acquisitions, who's a really smart guy, really talented guy, maybe the most talented person I've ever had the opportunity to work with. And that was someone that just sort of walked into my life when I stopped running around trying to do everything and took some time just to calm down and learn. And then he came into my life and came to my office, and we met a couple times, and we decided to go for it together. And I see a lot of that happen. I think that I myself have definitely made the mistake at times of opening too many things too fast, or just thinking I'm going to keep succeeding because I've had some success. I just got to keep opening stuff, when really if I would have just focused on one thing, or really just focused on what I had and tried to make it bigger, I probably could have done better, right? Like I know guys who stayed in just the bar industry and just kept opening bars, who maybe are making more money now than I could have, jumping around and trying all this different stuff, right? So I think there's definitely something to be said for just waiting and let it come to you over time. And it sounds crazy. It sounds like manifestation, but I think if you just keep working hard and maybe don't try to make too many moves, things will come to you over time. And I think that's definitely proven true to me in my life in the past year or two.
Very cool. Mm-hmm. So out of the new businesses, you said Bronson's like your favorite. It makes sense. Sentimental, related to A-Town. Out of the new businesses you have, I mean, I know health means a lot to you. You have Bash Boxing, you have the daycare for cats and dogs.
Yeah.
How do you manage all of them, and which one do you wake up to and you're just really excited about?
Yeah, so I think the cat hotel is something we're super excited about right now, and the reason is because it's a very new, sort of newish idea. There's not that many around the country. Yeah. Cats have kind of been forgotten. People are all about the dogs, and cats have kind of been forgotten. And so our cat hotel experience is that every cat has its own room instead of just some little box. Every cat room has a camera, so you could be in Hong Kong traveling and still go on your phone and look and see what your cat is doing. The suites are beautiful. It's really taking cat care to a whole new level that hasn't really been there for people before. And so I think that's something where we think we could do a ton of locations and really scale it around, because there's just not that many out there, right? So I think a lot about that one, and I also own it with my brother and his wife, and so we get super excited about that. I'm working on acquisitions now, where that's a new thing for me. I've always started my own business, but now we're buying companies, and we're buying a company that's up in Columbia, Maryland, that's been in business since 1970, so 55 years, and it's owned by a great family who's been working on it, their whole lives. And so it's, I get excited by that now, which is the idea of, taking businesses that have been built for decades already by really great families and bringing them into our portfolio and sort of growing them and making them even better and helping them find their next generation. So I think a lot about that going forward.
Yeah. So what is the end game?
Yeah, I think just continuing to, start and if I could work another, let's hope if I'm lucky enough to live that long, 40 or 50 years, if I could just keep opening stuff and maybe eventually find some unique concepts that could really scale, big and go far, that would be really fun. I don't think I've had anything that has been unique enough or new enough to really scale. Like a lot of the things you see that scale the farthest, the fastest, are because it's, either a new idea or doing something in a pretty new way. The things that come to mind around this area in the DC metro areas, you look at like Kava, Sweetgreen, Solid Core. These are brands that were really, sort of, if not new ideas, sort of best in class at what they do and a new way to do something. And those are the brands that went really far in this area, right? So when I talk about cozy cat suites, there's no real competition around the country right now. So hopefully we think that's something that we can do and be the one, right? The one nationwide, and really go far with it. So I'm going to keep just, opening stuff, keep hopefully acquiring more businesses. and really just try to continue to live my life the way I want to. Do we want to grow in size? Sure, we do. But I think more than anything, it's about making sure we do the right deals and continue to grow. I would love to, of course, one day have a company that sells for enough that at least I don't have to sweat financially for the rest of my life, and can have that sort of retirement there. But as long as I can keep creating and keep working for many years to come, that's what I want to do. I'm not too concerned about slowing down anytime soon. I'm not looking to become a billionaire. I'm not looking to even become, any. I don't really have any certain financial goals. You talk to a lot of entrepreneurs and they're like, well, I want to get to 100 million. I never think that way. I don't really have any number in mind. I'm not trying to, really get to some level of extreme wealth. I just want to be able to keep doing what I'm doing for a lot more years and creating and working with good people and sort of having fun doing it along the way.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. One thing you said, which I think is really important. So there's two mindsets here. One is, some boring companies make a lot of money, but something you said specifically, which you said got you excited, was the cat daycare. And what I truly believe is true, that people don't lean more into, is becoming an authority in your specific industry.
Yep.
And that's why you're very excited about that business, because you have the opportunity to be potentially the biggest in the U.S.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's what we've been looking for is it's really tough to do that with, restaurants. You need a ton of capital and you really have to have something different. In food, almost everything's been done, right?
Yeah.
If you're not, Sweet Green, that's like the innovative, new, incredible salad brand, and they launched, at this point, they launched 15, 16 years ago. If you're not Kava and you're this incredible version of, Greek fast casual, it's hard to make it in the food and beverage game and at that scale because everything's been done so long for so many years. So if you're not super unique, that's tough. I look at other stuff I've done, like the barbershops. The barbershops are incredible, and I would argue we're the best brand in the DC metro area. But, there's a barber shop on every corner. There's a million barbershops. This is an industry that is incredibly saturated. So when I look at cat care and, our high-end cat hotel, it's something that's very different, that there's literally clients that are just, there's nowhere they can go to get their cat a premier overnight boarding experience. They can go to maybe a pet boarding place that has all the different pets under the sun and snakes and dogs and birds and all this stuff. But for them to go to a place that's specifically designed for cats where they can have a high-end experience and their cat can be treated like royalty, there's not that many places out there, and there's a lot of cat parents that want it, right? It's just a different time for us, and it's something for us to try. I've always wanted to do something super unique that could scale to the masses, not just for financial reasons, but to be able to say, we brought this brand to the country, and now we're in all 50 states, and it's awesome. And that's a company where I definitely think we have the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think the more I think about it, the more I get excited about that business model, just because you have the authority. And like you said, you could have 5.0 reviews, but there's 100 different businesses doing exactly what you do.
Yeah.
Now when someone searches cat daycare, not only do you have amazing reviews, you're the only option.
Yep, that's right. Yep.
So I think that's genius. I love dissecting that. So now that your son is 10 months old, and your focus, I know when I became a father, my entire mind shift changed. I became a father at 26, so I felt like I was fighting my youth and becoming an adult and had to make more money and all these things at once, Now that my sons are 4 years old and I'm coming to a new chapter, and now I see that they have opinions and they know what's going on. They're conscious. They're not in the theta anymore. I'm like, what do I want my legacy to be?
Yeah.
What do I want to teach my kids, and what will make me proud, not as just a businessman, but as a father, a brother, and what are those bad habits I have that I don't need to do anymore, right? So I feel like at 30, I've gone into this new chapter, and I feel like you've gone into a new chapter as well. So what are you hoping to teach Tyler as he grows up about being a man or running businesses?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, a big question. And I agree with you. My whole mindset shift, everything changed mentally with what I think about. In some ways, people always ask me, well, are you going to teach him how to run your small business empire and be a hustler and stuff? And I hope so in some ways, but I would say also I hope to show him more than anything that it's not the most important thing. I think that at times I've let work become too much of my identity, and I think that I really do believe that work is just something that we do. It's not who we are. It's one side of our lives, and I think we shouldn't let it ourselves become too obsessed with it. I would like to teach him maybe the value of money and the value of hard work and discipline, but that this isn't the most important thing. The most important thing is that you're happy and you're healthy and you have a good family and you have good people around you, and you enjoy life, and that there's more to it than just this hustle and this grind for money, right? And I think as far as being a person and being a man, just remembering to take care of yourself first and foremost and have healthy habits. I think we live in a time where you're seeing people with so many unhealthy habits and so many health problems that it's really about eating right, exercising, making good decisions for your body and for your mind first and foremost, and then doing the best you can for the people around you, being a good family member, being a good friend. If you're in a business or you're on a team, being a good team member along the way. And I think just more than anything, making sure to not take yourself or this life too seriously. I think I definitely got swallowed up over the years by work and business and what am I becoming. And the truth of the matter is there's no one really that cares what I'm becoming other than me, right? Everyone is living their own lives. No one really cares what I'm doing or how successful I become other than me. And so if I need to learn not to chase that and just to enjoy the time while I'm here, that's more important than, what did I accomplish? Because we're all here for a short time, and the truth is, 50 or 100 years from now, no one's going to remember our accomplishments and no one's going to care about it. And so I think we should be humble by remembering that and just realize, let's enjoy the time that we're here, and we're not here for a long time, and let the ego down. It doesn't matter what titles we have and what we become. Just be happy, and I just want to be a good role model to him and show him that too, that work hard, try to achieve your goals, but realize that you can't control everything, and you are more as a human being than a business person or a student or an athlete or anything else. So don't get too wrapped up in that, and don't lose your identity in something else type thing.
Yeah, I love the sport of business.
Yeah.
But I caught myself getting caught in the toxic cycle of not enjoying the journey.
Yep.
Now I'm in a place where I'm really enjoying the journey.
Yep.
And I actually had to take a step back. It wasn't when I was making the most money or had the most cash flow.
Yeah.
It was when life was hardest. I had to be humbled a little bit, and I was like, I'm so blessed.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's the man it makes you going through these type of scenarios, opening businesses. When you open a business, you have to become a leader all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And now people are looking up to you, and you have to be an aspiring leader. I remember maybe one or two of my businesses didn't work out with the person I opened the business with. And I was sad about it. Just like, you had a business and you had to shut it down. You're like, why did it fail?
Yeah.
Right? I was so sad about it, but then I looked internally and I said, am I an inspiring leader? Would I want to listen to me?
Mm-hmm.
And now as a dad, I really understand that, because I think the biggest flex is to be able to raise kids that want to hang out with you.
Yep. Yep.
That are your friend.
Yeah.
That listen to what you say without it being like just, a lot of people are just, I'm your authority, I'm your parent, you're the kid. I really like that ability to, like you said, teach discipline, make sure you love the right people.
Yeah.
Cut out the bad habits. I think those are the things that are important.
Yeah, I agree, and I've seen it said somewhere. I'm paraphrasing now, but somewhere I've seen it, said that if you do a great job, as a parent and you raise kids that are really well adjusted and happy and healthy as they become adults, then you won't need to be successful because they're already doing great. So your success won't matter, right? And if you don't do a good job, then your success still won't matter because all the money in the world and all the success that you have, it won't help them at that point. They'll already be adults, and it won't matter how much fame or fortune you have because you screwed up and your kids aren't ready for life, right? And so I think that really resonated with me and made sense, and I kind of realized that this isn't about me anymore. It's not about my ambition and what I want to become and all that kind of stuff. It's about them, and it's about if I do a great job as a dad, then nothing else in my life will matter. It won't matter if I have if my kids are in their late teens or early 20s and they're ready to be happy, healthy adults. It won't matter if I have $10 or if I have $10 billion, right? Because my kids will be doing great. And if my kids are not doing great and I really did not do a good as a job as a dad, it still won't matter if I have $10 or $10 billion because my kids will be messed up and money won't do anything to fix that, right? And so that really, when I saw someone say that really kind of resonated with me, and I realized man, I need to spend as much time as possible focused on him and making sure he has a great life and being a great dad to him, because I'm going to look back one day, and even if I hit some sort of level of success that I don't think at this moment in time I'll probably hit 20 years from now, and I end up with a couple hundred companies and I'm a billionaire and everything's great, but if I didn't do a great job as a dad, that all that's going to mean nothing to me, and I'll be devastated. And so I really learned that and realized that it's all about just being a good parent, most of all once you have kids. And I think that's great in a way. It gives you something to focus on that's bigger than you and more important than you, and you stop just getting lost in what am I going to achieve next and what can I become. That stuff's really not that important at the end of the day.
Yeah, I was actually talking to my father yesterday, and as you grow up and you age, there's few things you can't avoid in life, taxes and death.
Yeah.
Right? And I will say the biggest blessing is being able to see my kids interact with my father.
Yeah.
And to see that. And my dad goes to me yesterday and he says, if you asked me if I knew I was going to be a grandfather and that this would be the greatest joy in my life, I would have never guessed it, And for me, I realized just that is the meaning of life.
Right.
That moment to me was more than any business accomplishment.
Sure.
More than anything.
Yeah.
Because like you said, when we go, we leave the same way we came.
Yeah.
We have no materialistic possessions. And whatever people's opinions that you're so worried about, stopping you from doing whatever you want in life, they're also going to be gone with their opinions.
Yeah.
So it's really important to be authentic, to do the things you love, and to bring people together, you know?
Yeah.
And in life, people are like, there's the bad and there's the good. What I say is, you're blessed to feel all of the above.
Yeah.
From the bad to the good, because if you have one life, don't you want to be able to feel every emotion that there is?
Yeah, for sure. No, I think that's very well said. And I think, I think as crazy as the world is becoming these days and all the suffering that we see, it's always good to be an American, even with all the toxicity here and how politically charged this country has been and people that hate each other over politics and all these kind of things. It's still great to be an American and to have the opportunities that we have and the access to healthcare we have, and the opportunities we have to be successful financially and all that kind of stuff. I definitely have been thinking a lot more about that stuff as well since I became a father, and really realizing that whether I make 50 grand this year or I make 5 million this year, it's good to be here. It's good to be able to live another day here and to live another day on this planet. And I'm 42 now, so I never thought this would happen, but I'm already getting to the point where I see once in a while, luckily it's not that frequent, but people die, and I see people from my grade school or high school that I grew up with die from things. Or I know a guy that just got ALS that's a father, and I know a guy that was a consultant to one of my companies that was pretty young. I think he was in his young 50s, died from a heart attack, and I'm like, dude, you know, you think when you're young, like, all right, when we get to be 70 or 80, then people will start dying, but it really happens sooner than that. You know, you get to be 40s and 50s and people start dying. And so I think it's really important to recognize how lucky we are to be alive, how lucky we are to be in this country, despite all of its problems, but to be here and have the opportunities that we have to, you know, to live another day. And I always say to my girl, like all the time, like, you know, even if we still live in my condo because it's super convenient, and we live a low-key life because, you know, we have a baby now, we don't do much, we're home. And I'm like, even if we never left this condo and we never got more successful than we are right now, we have everything. We get to, you know, we're safe here. We have access to incredible food. When we're sick or we need healthcare, we have access to incredible doctors. You know, we can travel. Everything that we need is around us. We have gyms where we can work out. We have, you know, people we can learn from, you know, stuff we can do to grow and succeed. Even if life never gets better than this and it's just us together here, that's enough for me. You know, we really have a great existence here. I think remembering that is really important, because we all get sucked up in this social media culture of, like, you know, this person went on 3 different vacations this year, and this person bought a supercar, this person's flying private, and this person just sold their company, and this person has a 6-pack, you know, this person just ran a marathon. And it's like, you know, this is all the stuff that's floating around in front of our face, but the most important thing is that we appreciate what we already have and the life we already have. And I never really thought that way when I was young, even if I said it at times. I think in the recent years, and certainly being a dad, I've really started to realize that's the real thing.
Yeah, and honestly, that's the biggest reason I wanted to bring you onto this podcast, for authenticity, for something that's real, for someone who's a family man, a businessman, and you're on a mission. So, Scott, I really appreciate you taking the time and coming on the podcast today.
Thank you, man.
I'd love to follow up with you in the future.
Always.
And thank you for taking the time.
Great to see you, brother.
You're the best.
Yeah, nice. All right, man. That was awesome.
Yeah.